everyone, and good morning. Welcome to Atlanta Polyamorous Group. I am Jessica Addison, and I am a master level clinician here at Atlanta Sex Therapy, and I specialize in traditional and non-traditional relationships with communication, transitional skills. So today we're going to talk about jealousy. What is jealousy? How do we unlearn jealousy? And if you guys in our Zoom meeting want to jump in, have any commentary, want any clarifications, you guys are free to do that. So we're going to go ahead and get started, okay?
Okay.
If I click it, it'll work. Come on. Jealousy. Does anybody want to chime in via the chat or pop in? When you see jealousy, what is the first thing that comes to mind?
All right. So Elizabeth is saying envy comes to mind with that.
Envy.
Yeah. For me, I think of anger. All right. Michelle is saying dislike with that. I always think of the little kids. Oh, Tori is saying hurt and loss. The effect of not getting someone getting treated better than me. That's Jazz with that. I always think of jealousy as the little kids. The toy on one side of the room is not being played with, and then somebody else comes and picks up the toy, and the little kid's like, "That's my toy." So that like jealousy comes up. All right, with that. Okay. And so I think that's it for the chats. I think I got them all there. Oh, feeling less than a less of a priority. Wow.
Ooh, that's a good one. Does anybody feel like jealousy is natural? Like you're born with it, or is it something that comes with experience, that comes with failed relationships, or comes with low self-esteem? Elizabeth says yes, normal.
Yep.
Yeah. Anybody else thinks it's normal? Comes with life experiences. That's what Jazz says.
I think it's normal, but you hit something of your feeling of you're not a priority.
Okay.
That hits on something, but it is natural. You just got to work through it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that as well. That's
great.
Right.
Well.
All right. Hey, Michael, you're new to the group, but you kind of keep popping up. Would you mute yourself? Because I don't think you're saying anything yet. Thank you. All right. Go on, Jessica.
Oh, okay. Well, with the jealousy is normal. And there's two ways you can look at jealousy. It's a positive aspect, a negative aspect. And the positive aspect, you can change that jealousy into fuel to motivation. If someone is doing a certain activity, has a certain career, has a certain physique, has a certain personality that you've been trying to embrace more, improve more, you can take their image, you take their whole being as motivation for you guys to become better. Now, negative aspect, that can turn into envy, that can turn into feeling inferior. And that can also turn into like low self-esteem, anxiety. But when you think of jealousy, I want you to think of it as some foreseen challenges that allow you to grow as a person and grow within your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Now, first and foremost, I want to let everybody know that no one can make you jealous at all. There's no one or nothing that can make you jealous. You might be saying, Jessica, how is that possible? Because I'm trying to unlearn jealousy. So somebody made me jealous. Somebody made me feel like I wasn't priority. With that, someone cannot make you jealous. They can only hold a mirror.
Alexa, stop.
They can only hold a mirror to something that you have hidden long before that situation happened. And a lot of times when we're jealous, we act out. We're rash. We're sometimes violent. We're probably hard on ourselves, hard on our partners, hard on our peers, our family. We're just lashing out at everyone. But with acting out, it's just big emotions that you can't even understand. You can't even explain because you try to hide it for so long. So when someone comes with a persona, with a certain look that you've been trying to achieve or something that you've been trying to hide, it's going to turn into jealousy. It's going to turn into envy. And it can be scary. But the only way you can start to unlearn jealousy is to look that fear in the face more and more and more and more until it becomes less scary.
That's a good point. And Tori was saying that's a good point as well, that he hits deep. Tori, I don't know if you're a girl or a boy. I'm so sorry if I'm using the wrong pronouns with you. But yeah, Tori was saying that's our inner coming out.
Okay. Thank you for that. Cherise, thank you.
It's not for you. You will find it interesting. Promise.
Okay. So a lot of us said that it comes with life experience. A lot of us said that it's natural. Well, jealousy came long before you got into a relationship, long before you thought to be in a relationship, long before your adulthood, adolescence. Jealousy, if you believe it to be in a natural state, came during childhood, even in infancy. If you're someone who has brothers and sisters, someone who was in daycare, even elementary school, a lot of times we felt so great for our parents, our caregivers, our grandma, our teachers, giving us so much praise, so much attention. We felt like we were on cloud 9. Then a peer or a sibling came to play and wanted some attention too. And that caregiver had to turn to that person and give them attention. And as we all know, children like to throw temper tantrums. They like to get attention. They cry and throw fits when they don't get our way. So that's where the starvation economy begins. This whole myth that anything anyone takes from me is subtracting from my value, that love has a limit. And a lot of people who don't know about poly say you can't love everybody, you must not love your partner, you must not be interested. We hear that thousands and thousands of times. But if you're someone who wants to explore poly, who is in poly, you know that love is limited. Has anyone ever felt like someone was taking something away from you when you felt jealous?
Yeah, and I think somebody else said definitely in the comments, like that feeling less than a priority. So if you're loving somebody else, you're not loving me the way you're supposed to, or giving me all the attention that I'm supposed to get from you. And so people are definitely saying yes. And then Tori added, thank you, Tori. Love can be unlimited if we let it. I hope. And I think definitely love is unlimited. Like if you think of all of your family members, people who have 16 children, we definitely have the ability to love multiple people. But with you grew up in a household and a lot of cultures preach or give the expectation that a romantic relationship should only be between two people and that you can only romantically love one other person with that. And so I think for a lot of us, it's going to take a lot of like self-reflecting and looking at my belief systems to figure out, okay, how can I believe that romantic love is just as limitless as parental love, as familial love, and say, yes, we have that. Yes, we do have that ability. So, all right. Tori also said it's wrapped up in our need to be someone's everything instead of complimenting each other's lives. All right, Tori, we might have to get Tori to teach one of these classes.
That's a great
Tori
point.
said some good stuff. That was a good point. Okay. All right, on to the next slide. Yes.
And she must have knew what I was going to talk about, she or he, because we're talking about you have to check yourself before you add anyone else. With that, if you're somebody who is going from I love you, you're my everything, to you're mine, I've been with you for X amount of years, I don't care who you bring into this relationship, I'm still number one, that's when you have a possessive grip. And if you have a possessive grip, the first steps into unlearning jealousy, loosening up that possessive grip, is to be your own safety net. So spend time with yourself, self-nurture yourself, because if being just with yourself is unbearable, it's going to be hard to unlearn jealousy. So you need to pour into yourself so much, kind of like a cup that it overflows. So where anything extra that is overflown, it's not anything taken away from your cup. So I think when love stops and it gets into the possessive of your mind, that's when we need to do some self-reflecting of, do I love this person or do I feel like they're my possession that I need to keep away from everybody else?
Mhm. Yeah, I think one thing is usually when you get in a relationship, it's gonna bring up some of your insecurities. It is.
Mhm.
But when you get in multiple relationships, it's like you're getting hit with all of your insecurities. And it may not even be your multiple relationship, like you got two partners, but your partner's partner, the metamor, your metamor, they're going to bring up some insecurities for you. And so a huge part of working with jealousy, a huge part of being in these non-traditional relationships is really learning what your insecurities are and being okay, like knowing those and addressing those. Like you really need to be able to say, okay, I'm having a day right now where I'm not feeling attracted to you, or I'm feeling like you're not attracted to me, and be able to kind of hold that emotion in a conversation as opposed to just lashing out,
Lashing
throwing
out.
an adult temper tantrum.
Mhm.
All right, go ahead, Jessica.
So one exercise that you guys can kind of take notes that you can use is what I call pocket full of gold. So many scrap sheets of paper, write things to where you feel like your partner is lucky to have you because you are this, you are a planner, you're a provider, you are affectionate, you're thoughtful. Any characteristics that you feel highly about yourself, write those on a piece of paper. Keep those little things in your pocket. So when you're having those overwhelming emotions, any type of anxiety, or you're feeling just antsy and it's starting to become a jealousy feeling, put your hand in your pocket, pull that out, read it to yourself, just so you can reassure that you're okay, you're gold by yourself, you're gold in this relationship. There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to fear.
Mhm.
Is there any qualities, any characteristics you guys want to throw into the chat that you feel like no one can tell me that I'm not this, even on my worst day?
Yeah. All right. All right. All
That
right.
says
Funny.
funny,
Yeah.
good listener,
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
very needed, good listener.
I'll chime in. I'm optimistic. Like I am really like a kind of
Mhm.
happy-go-lucky, optimistic person with that. So yeah, that's one.
I feel like I'm funny. I feel like I'm funny a little bit. I don't know. Others might not think so.
All
Thoughtful.
right,
How do I get to
thoughtful.
the chat?
It
It
should
should
should be at the
be.
bottom of your screen. You don't
Are
see
you
options at the bottom of your screen or a chat
I'm
button?
done.
are you on
It's
a
okay.
phone or a
You can
laptop?
say it out loud.
Yeah, I'm on the phone. That's probably the problem. But
Okay.
I feel like I'm supportive, you know, and
Okay.
open.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. And
emotionally
Elizabeth, we
open.
got your emotionally open and free. All right. Thank you, my dear, for sharing.
Let's
Okay.
see. Now, our next activity that you can use or do with your partner are, what are our roots? When I say that, you guys got with each other for a reason.
Mhm.
And instead of breaking up, you guys have chosen to extend your relationship. So what were those pivotal moments that made a mark? What was that memorable time where it established we support each other, we love each other, we're emotionally open. I'm a good listener because I was there for my partner when they were going through this time. I'm thoughtful because I did this gesture. There has to be some type of monumental moment within your relationship that are the roots to your relationship tree. So where whenever you guys are feeling like I feel left out, I feel neglected, I feel overruled from this new relationship energy, those roots are the foundation and are so essential and so concrete that you guys have nothing to worry about and jealousy should not be a factor.
Yeah, definitely. That's an excellent point, Jessica. Because so many of our polycules, or when we start with a couple of two who are looking to open their relationship, is to really make sure to know what those roots are, like what binds us together. Why are we in this relationship? And then also talking about what are we looking for from a third person or fourth person, wherever you are with that. And so I think when we can identify those things, like you provide this, and this for me. In an additional relationship, this is what I'm letting them provide. And so kind of that knowledge. So it's just like, oh, okay, you're not trying to replace me. You're just trying to get this need met that I ain't really even trying to meet for you with that. So that's really good. Excellent point.
And it could be gratitude as well, because I've had a lot of couples to where when I asked them what were those moments and they express it, and their partner's like, I didn't even know you felt that way. I didn't know you even noticed that. So sometimes some people need to know that I see you, I hear you, and you're valuable.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
So new relationship energy. I know we spoke about that and people wanted more information about new relationship energy. Everybody goes through the cupcake phase, honeymoon phase, see the fireworks. You want to be around each other, be up on each other 24/7. Everybody goes through that. You guys went through that with your own partners. And the poly aspect, new relationship energy is just the initial love or lust that comes with meeting someone new. Now, if you're experiencing the relationship energy, you have this new partner who's sparking interest that your primary partner isn't, and you guys are having fun, meeting up often, talking often. Just be mindful of your motives and into this new relationship. You have a primary relationship. This is just an extension. This is just for a certain desire. So I know you guys are in the moment, but don't make any extreme decisions during this stage based off of pure emotions. Because sometimes you can bite off more than you can chew instead of sticking to the plan and being effective. If your partner is experiencing the relationship energy, I have a question. What if your partner finds someone who clicks more after opening up your relationship? So they find someone else. If they find someone who they click with more, that's a conversation that needs to be had into what does this mean for us? What are our roots? What are we doing? How do I play into this? Do you want to continue to extend? So that conversation of what are we doing needs to happen. What is our plan?
And let me say a little bit more about that. I would want any couple who's thinking about opening their relationship to talk about that question before you open the relationship. All right, because you may find somebody who you click with better than your partner. You may find somebody who the sex is better than your partner. And so there needs to be kind of a plan of how we're going to address that. And what does that mean? And just because something's better doesn't necessarily mean you need to leave your current relationship. And then the other thing, remember how new relationship energy works. And so new relationship energy usually does not last any more than the newest research is saying about 18 months. Historically, we have said it doesn't last any longer than 2 years. And so before, like Jessica just said, before you make any dramatic relationships, I'm going to write to Mexico with them. Before we do anything, walk that thing out for 2 years and really see like what this person is like when we're no longer in that newly loved relationship. I think some of the studies, and you guys may have heard this, like some of the studies on like love and when you have that in love feeling at the beginning of the relationship, has some of the like same brain activity as like being on crack. Like, and so you're just high on the endorphins and the excitement of it. But I really, as an adult, want you to be able to like know that and like pace yourself and say, okay, let's walk this out. Let's really see if this love is a partner who I can have for the lifetime. How do they fit with the rest of my family? Like, how does this work? What do I want? What they want with that? But it's a real possibility. I have had several people who have opened their relationship and lost a partner that they've lost, or it has caused a divorce. So it is a real possibility. And so we got to acknowledge that. But I think if we can make some plans around that and really talk about it. In my original training, like 15 years ago, when I was training as a sex therapist, we actually wanted couples to be in a committed monogamous relationship for 10 years before they even try to open relationship, because that idea of being rooted, we wanted them to be really, really well rooted as a family before they tried to add anything on. But then kind of poly became popular and non-traditional relationships became popular. And so I don't think people are willing to wait that long anymore. But like in my original training, that's really what we wanted people to do. Okay. All right. Let's read some of the comments. So thank you, Elizabeth, for yours. If we feel we're getting too wrapped up, how do we safely backtrack?
Then like check-ins.
That's gonna depend on the partner. Like I think a lot of check-ins along the way, and then that's gonna depend on your partners on how you safely backtrack. How often are we having those check-ins? It depends on the couple and the relationship. Some of my couples, they check in every morning, like they just have coffee together and how you doing? How we doing? How's this doing? How's this new relationship going? I have some couples that check in once a week, every Sunday morning, like we do Sunday brunch, or we meet Friday at the club, and that's how we, like a morning club or something like that. That's how we check in. And then I have some couples that check in every 2 weeks. Have the prenup before, I'm sorry, I can't read my scheme. Bringing someone new in. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. I will say though, you guys, the biggest thing is being open to all conversations, because this is what I've noticed. The thing you try to guard against the most, like you're so in fear of this is going to happen, is probably not the thing that's going to happen. It's going to be something else that you hadn't thought about that's going to happen with that. And so it's really being open to all of the conversations and knowing. And I think at the beginning, if you're starting to open up a relationship at the beginning, I need you to know it's kind of like a new teenager driving. You will probably hit a curb. We're going to get some hurt feelings in there. We're going to, at the beginning, probably not be clear on some boundaries, and some people are going to get hurt. Like it's a thing. But you also learn that in dating, like when you're a teenager, you kind of learn about dating and relationships. And so be open to that. Then that is a long time, Jazz. I heard you. It was a long time with that. But anyway, that's what we used to want. Okay. How do you move forward if the conversation happens months after? All right, Drew and Lindsay, I got to have you say a little bit more about that. All right, while they do that, Jess, you go to your next screen.
Okay.
So can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So the bringing in another person happened before the conversation. Before that, there was like, relaxed conversation of, we'll try something once, but you need to let each other know. So what if one partner did not let the other person know? It happened for months, and then 2-3 months in, and then the conversation happened, and then the partner finds out that when you talked about it was not the time of starting.
Okay, so I'm going to say some general things, and then you may want to book a session or book that free consultation with Jessica so you can get more into details. So in general, poly, non-consensual, non-monogamy, all of it, you can still break boundaries and flat out cheat. And if we have done something that's not in the current relationship agreements, that is a betrayal. And so we got to handle it as a betrayal. And so generally, we're handling betrayals is the people got to acknowledge, yep, I fucked up. Sorry. I hope y'all okay if I cuss. Yes, I did fuck up. I apologize. Kind of be a witness to the pain that was caused in a relationship. And then together, y'all figure out what's needed to move forward. So is this new agreements? Is this a new way for us to make agreements? Some of my couples we write all agreements down now because of maybe a betrayal. You know, well, I thought you said we could do that. I never say that, like with that. And so, okay, from now on, if there's a new agreement put in place, we got to write it down so we can both review with like, what did we actually say and what do we actually agree to? And then after that, I think if one person is seeing it as an affair, and that's like the previous affair partner, my advice is try not to make a previous affair partner into a future poly partner, because it's just a lot of hurt with that. And so being able to let it go. I think in poly relationships, and I'm using that as a blanket term, there's going to be a lot of hard choices you have to make with that. And so another thing, and Jessica's going to talk about some other things, but
No,
you're gonna
sorry,
have to,
I have a question. When you're talking about do not bring in the previous partner, are you talking about the person you didn't know about? Don't bring them into the poly relationship.
yeah. So if I feel like
I just need
my
clarification.
boyfriend cheated on me with Sarah, now to bring Sarah back around and be like, oh, we all gonna live happily ever after. No, that's probably too big of a pill for me to swallow with that. It's too big of a pill for a lot of people to swallow. And so so my advice is, let's let Sarah go. And now if you're deciding that poly is for you and poly is how y'all want to move forward, then now let's move forward and find new situations. Because it's one thing to look at your partner and we got to rebuild trust. But another thing when we trying to bring Sarah in or that affair partner in who I don't know and from the get-go I don't like and I'm distrusting, that is a lot for one person to overcome. Does that make sense?
Yes, understood. I just didn't want to this become an argument later and wanted to just get clarification of what was being said. That's all.
Okay. I love this raw honesty. It's not all sunshine and roses, it's human feelings. Thank you, Tori. And that's true. Because it didn't. Jessica, I'm gonna give you back the floor. Because I promise you, I talked to some of my other colleagues, and I say from time to time, I feel like people forget like people are people. Like, and people are human and people have feelings, and we got to be very cautious about that. And as we try to open up all these new relationships with that, like people are people, people are feelings, they have their insecurities. And so definitely one of the things and why we're having this today and have Jessica doing this presentation is jealousy. Like, you got to know yourself. You got to know how you handle jealousy. You got to be open to saying, yeah, I get jealous as hell sometimes. And this is how we're going to deal with it as we try to move forward and open this relationship. These are the reasons why we're trying to open this relationship. This is what I want to get from a new relationship. This is what I have in an old relationship, and really being able to have those honest conversations, what I can do and what I really can't do with that. All right, I'm giving the floor back to you for real, Jessica.
You're fine. And just to add really quick to what Tori said about it's not all sunshine and roses. If your partner is experiencing the relationship energy, don't take it apart because you had that same energy with them when y'all first got together. So don't think their honeymoon stage, their cupcake stage is going to replace what you already established, because you were that girl, you were that boy too that looked at your partner and saw rainbows and butterflies and fireworks and want to text them and be around them every weekend. So don't take it to heart.
Yeah.
So if you guys haven't already wrote down any mental notes or any notes to save for later, to talk with your partner about, or to just reflect about, here are 7 tools to unlearn jealousy. And we're going to talk about these, recap, so you have all 7 tools. The first tool is reflect on your emotions. So I think we talked a little bit about that, about self-reflection. And this really just identifying who is the enemy here. Is the person who's coming into our relationship, do they actually like do something to me? Or am I finding the insecurities that I have been burying and putting on the back burner for so long? So where a partner, let's put it like this, let's say I am an introvert and I'm trying to be more social, I'm trying to be more outspoken, but I'm kind of struggling with that. Me and my boyfriend want to be poly. He brings a new partner named Katrina. She's very vibrant. She's social. She's sociable. She's a hostess with the most every time we have an outing. I can look at her and be envious and think she's doing too much. I know a lot of people say somebody's doing too much, you too loud, you too this, you too that. But somebody is always doing too much if you're not doing enough because you haven't explored that. So I can't be envious of somebody who does something that I have not tapped into myself and they do it effortlessly. So who are you fighting? Who am I fighting? Am I fighting Katrina or am I fighting me not being, I guess, not finding the courage enough to kind of step out my comfort zone? Those are two different things when you need to reflect on, am I really jealous about this person and their relationship, or is it something that I'm battling with? Let's go, PowerPoint. Okay, so the first tool, and we have all these down here, we're gonna recap every single tool once we speak about it, is reflect on your emotions. I want to ask Natalie, is it natural? I know for me, you act out, act crazy during the situation, and then you be like, you know what, I was tripping.
Yeah.
I need to apologize to my mate because, and sometimes that can happen 2 or 3 times to the point you might act out and you self-reflect and apologize all the time. I know I do that all the time.
Most of
It's
us do.
it's only a problem if you don't acknowledge the problem.
Mhm. Mhm.
Just as she shuts down.
Mhm. Which you
And
want to work on.
and she said she's ready to break up. But what I like to
Right.
tell clients, whether you're doing something or not
Right.
doing something, that's still doing something.
Right.
So if you don't address the issue, that's doing something. If you address the issue, you are doing
Mhm.
something. And
Mhm.
don't be afraid of those conversations. Well, I'm not gonna say nothing because I don't want to argue. I'd rather just let it go.
Mhm.
You haven't
What?
really gave it a fair shot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think which is why back to an earlier question we talked, like I want you to be in your own relationship first, like with one person before you get in a relationship with another person. Like I've literally known people because they didn't do the work of like knowing their emotions or getting to know their emotions. Then a lot of things don't get caught until like we're in the process. Like I had no idea I'd be that jealous. And so like one situation was a wife and a husband. We're gonna have a great weekend. And actually with that, and so they went and started having sex with another wife and husband. All right. So everybody's having sex with somebody with that. And the wife got upset that her husband wasn't having sex with her, even though she was in process of having sex with somebody else. And then so she wound up just kind of blowing up in the whole situation with that. And so the work we did around that was like, what happened and what was going on that you were getting so jealous at that moment. And so we really kind of did the work. And so part of her work was like apologizing to everybody of like, I had no idea that I was going to be that jealous in that situation. And we had to identify exactly what in that situation like had her blow up with that. And I think when you do these open relationships and you're putting yourself in situations that you've never been in before, you gotta know you gonna mess up. You gotta know that you probably gonna get caught up for a second, do something that's outside of your normal character, and you're gonna have to apologize. Say, okay, I'm gonna go work on that and then come back and try it again. And so, and now, I mean, like she's fine. That couple together, they both still carry multiple partners, and it's great. But I mean, like she had to come into therapy and do the work for a while. So, okay, go ahead. Let me read this. It is jealous if the rules. I'm sorry. Is it jealousy? Probably if
Jealous.
the rules are broken. This little thing keeps getting in my way.
That's what it says.
Oh, if the
Right.
period, if the rules are broken, period.
Yeah, question mark.
No, I don't think it's jealousy
I'm
if the
not
rules
jealous.
are broken. I mean,
That's
but then
not
I think you
restrictive.
also can be both. So
Mhm.
the rules can be broken, and which is really just, you know, boundaries. When boundaries get broken, usually feelings get hurt because
Mhm.
agreements, people aren't operating, you know, in integrity with that. And you can also be jealous that you broke our boundaries for this person over here.
Yeah.
And so it can definitely be both. Okay, let's go ahead with tool number 2.
Tool number 2 is to nurture emotional intimacy. I think we talked about regular check-ins and sharing our vulnerabilities. But when we share our vulnerabilities, do that in a way that's very calming, not argumentative, and also actively listen to your partner so you can hear their perspective about things. Because a lot of times having a clear or an open conversation can eliminate a lot of miscommunication. A lot of times when we have couples come into the office, they're telling us why they're here, what their issues are, and we ask them, have you guys talked about this? When's the last time you guys talked about certain things? They said, well, no, we don't talk about it. They should just know. Nobody's a mind reader. If you're not checking in and letting somebody know what's going on and they're not doing anything, and you're not saying anything, and nothing's happening, it looks like you're at where you want to be. Because you're not giving them, I like to say, you're not giving them the game plan. If you want to be the coach, they're the quarterback, give them what the play is. If you're not giving them the play, how do you expect them to know where the end zone is? There's no way. And then it's all about how you say something. I know you can be full of emotions, you can be frustrated, take a breath, breathe, because it's about how you say something. Even if you feel that person's at fault, how he receives or how she receives any information, any vulnerability that you're giving to them, allow them to respond in a very clear conscious, clear head, so you guys can communicate effectively. So the 2 tools that we have already. Tool number 1, reflect on your emotions. Tool number 2, nurture emotional intimacy. Tool number 3.
I want to say one thing about reflect on emotional intimacy is you got to be able to handle the truth. I don't know if y'all remember that famous movie line, you can't handle the truth. All right, so I want everybody to work on their ability to be able to handle the truth when their partner tells them the truth with that. Because if you're not a safe person to talk to, then your partner's not going to talk to you. They're just not going to talk to you. And so, and being safe means you can listen to them from a non-judgmental perspective. And if you get emotional or need to get emotional, you can say, hey, I want to hear you. I want to listen to you. I'm getting emotional right now. I'm triggered right now. Can we take a 30-minute break and come back and me finish listening to you? And we can like kind of really listen to our partners. Because if we want them to talk to us, if we want them to talk to us about a new partner, we've got to be able to listen to it and handle it. Okay, that's it. What if you had childhood trauma that triggers you and prevents open intimacy? I'm gonna say you need to go to therapy and work on that. And so that you're not preventing that anymore. Y'all, I don't know why, but it seems like society keeps thinking that once you have anxiety, you just have it forever. Or once you have a trauma, you can't be healed from that. And so if you have a trauma, heal from that. Don't let that shit keep you bound up forever with that. No. So, I mean, let's look at like a basic car accident. So if you have a car accident and let's say it was so bad it shuts you down and you don't want to ever get in a car again, I don't want you just to never get in a car again. I want you to come into therapy and work on that. And so sometimes we're going to probably have to start on step 1 of just you sitting in a car. Then we're going to maybe have you drive around the parking lot. Then we'll have you drive on an old highway. Then eventually we'll have you drive on a large highway. Then eventually you're back on 285 going 90 miles per hour. Don't get stuck and let a trauma hold you back. We all have had big traumas and little traumas, and we all can overcome them with that. Okay. And anxiety too. Don't let anxiety trap you. Anxiety will trap you, and anxiety will keep taking pieces of your life. And so you have to actively fight it. So if you're scared, whatever you're scared of, you got to face it. If you're scared of getting on the elevator, you got to get on the elevator. And you got to say every day, I'm not going to be scared. I'm not going to have my life limited. Yes, Tori, we are all carrying baggage. You are correct. We're all carrying baggage. We put it down when we decide. Tori, are you a therapist? If not, I might have to make you a therapist. You talking good stuff. All right, Jessica, go ahead with tool number 3.
Okay. Tool number 3 is embrace self-care. You all will be surprised how many clients we have who don't know the first thing about self-care at all. This is a new thing to them. We always tell them anything that boosts your confidence physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, anything that you just, like we said, pour into yourself so much. Because if you don't love being around yourself, who else do you expect to love being around you? And of course, if you don't like being around yourself, everybody and their mama gonna make you feel jealous.
Facts.
Anything to add about self-care, Natalie?
So what does self-care look like for some people who don't know what self-care is? What would you say self-care actually looks like them doing?
Regular massages.
Regular massages. All right, Jessica, what would you say?
I would say for me, it's going to the gym and meditating and listening to music, because I feel like I'm in my own different world. A lot of people say retail therapy. A lot of people say that's their thing. It can be a thing in the moment, but like once you come back home and you're by yourself and you're in your own thoughts and you're with your own thoughts, other things can come back rushing.
Yeah.
So I feel like when I think about self-care, it's not anything, something real quick to get my mind off. It's something that's actually going to be efficient and it's going to stay with me, because my thoughts stay with me as well, especially when you're at home at night in the bed. You can have a great time with your friends, and then when you get home, you crying about X. But you just had fun on Snapchat. You were smiling, taking pictures and videos and everything else, like everything was cool. But when you get home and you by yourself, it's a totally different story.
Yeah.
So any activity when you're with yourself that allows you to sit in your thoughts and is going to be a long-term pleasure boosting your confidence.
Yeah. I'm going to add a little bit to that definition. I think it's that activity that you feel rejuvenated from, like you feel re-energized, you feel more like you. Like, oh, not just like run down or burn out, but like you feel more like you. Some people say, like, I feel centered or I feel grounded. And the activities are going to be different for everybody. Some people it's a walk up a mountain through the forest. For some people it's sitting down and watching an episode of Martin. And some people it's definitely music. I got you, jazz and self-pleasure. So, okay. All right. On to the next tool, my dear.
So if you haven't written them down already, we have tool number 1, self-reflect, reflect on your emotions. Tool number 2, nurture emotional intimacy. Tool number 3, embrace self-care. Move you guys to the side here. Tool number 4 is reframe your brain. So all those negative beliefs about yourself, about your relationship, try to replace those with a positive, more realistic perspective. One thing could be, if I want to lose weight, if I want to pick up a trade, and a new partner that's coming in kind of has their career on track, is kind of a little more leaner, a little more buff than I am. Instead of thinking they think they're better than me, they think they can take my partner, I don't like them. You can take that, as we said before, as motivation. Let me become more active, not to try to be like them, but be a better version of myself. Let me try to be more proactive with my time. Let me study some things. Let me look for a trade. Let me re-enroll back in school. Let me get my mind going, reading different books and exploring my horizon, bringing different content to the conversation, and just being a more improved version of myself. A lot of times we might see somebody or something that makes us feel jealous or inferior, and we keep those negative beliefs embedded in our brain to the point that we start to believe it, but we didn't even have those emotions or those thoughts before someone kind of put the mirror in front of us and kind of challenged us to kind of really push ourselves out of the element to be somewhere we never been. And I tell my clients all the time, when you come into therapy, don't think you're going to do the same thing and get different results. You want results, you have to do different things. And you kind of have to step out of your element if you want something new, because what you guys been doing hasn't been working. So why wouldn't you do something that you're not comfortable in doing, not used to doing, if you want a different result? So the tools we have already are: tool number 1, reflect on your emotions. Tool number 2, nurture emotional intimacy. Tool number 3, embrace self-care. Tool number 4, reframe your brain. Tool number 5 is embrace autonomy. If you guys don't know what autonomy is, it's all about self-governing. You know what you need for your life. You know what's best for you. So in a polyamorous relationship, you have to be aware that you and your partner are individuals. You guys have 2 different lives, maybe 2 different careers, different interests, friendships, partners. So never think because your partner is extending the relationship with an additional partner who might like sports, who might like the arts, and you guys have never bonded on that level. Do not take what their common interest as a replacement to whatever you guys have established and built. You guys are here to extend and explore. You guys aren't each other's twins. You have to know that you guys are individuals. So anything they step out and do on their own, especially if it's agreed upon, don't take that as a negative or a jab into your relationship or your self-esteem.
Yeah. I want to say something on that, because it's a lot of times people will say something to the effect, but I don't do that in our relationship, or I would never do that in our relationship. I never do that to you. Because they're not you. You're not them. And so we can't put it, because we do things based on our life, what we have learned, where we have walked, our past experiences. Your partner doesn't have your same past experience, doesn't have your same perspective. And so we've got to understand, okay, they're not going to do what I do because they're not me. They're not going to do what I'm going to do. I'm my own person. They're their own person. Am I okay with how they handle things? Is this something where we need to have a talk? Because I'd like you to handle it more like I do. I'd like you to see it more like I do. And can we come to a compromise on how we're going to do that? But yeah, you can't just be in a relationship talking, but I would never do that. Okay, you might not, but they might. And so just kind of understand they're different. So each person is autonomous with that. Okay. Tool number 6.
So number 1, if you haven't already write it down, is reflect on your emotions. Tool number 2 is nurture emotional intimacy. Tool number 3 is embrace self-care. Tool number 4, reframe your brain. Tool number 5, embrace autonomy. Tool number 6, I think we spoke about this as well, setting healthy boundaries. So that's anything establishing clear boundaries that honor your needs and your values. Once you guys check in with each other, let each other know what you guys need, what you guys are feeling, start making some plans, some parameters around how can we make any steps in the future, or even starting today, that can kind of honor these needs and these values that we have within our relationship, or the new agreement we have in our polyamorous relationship. Having that conversation and setting those boundaries is very essential, because if you don't respect what you need, nobody else is going to respect it. Nobody else is going to know what you need until you put it in place. So the tools we have already is tool number 1, reflect on your emotions. Tool number 2, nurture emotional intimacy. Tool number 3, embrace self-care. Tool number 4, reframe your brain. Tool number 5, embrace autonomy. And tool number 6, set healthy boundaries. Tool number 7 is focus on gratitude. A lot of times we like to say the phrase, fear and gratitude cannot coexist. So if you feel like your partner is very attentive, very affectionate, very respectful, the fear of them being mean, the fear of them being a cheater, the fear of them neglecting your feelings and not talking to you, that cannot coexist. You cannot give all these reasons why you love your partner, the reason why you're with your partner, and then be fearful of a situation that has not happened, that have not gave you an example of them being this mean or hateful or disrespectful person just because they're bringing somebody else into the relationship, or just because you have some insecurities that you haven't dealt with yourself. So shifting your focus on appreciating and expressing gratitude for the positive aspects of your relationship, positive aspects of your partner, can kind of confirm that you're in this, you're still present, and this is still your primary focus within your primary partner in your relationship. So the 7 tools we have are: tool number 1, reflect on your emotions. Tool number 2, nurture emotional intimacy. Tool number 3, embrace self-care. Tool number 4, reframe your brain. Tool number 5, embrace autonomy. Tool number 6, set healthy boundaries. And tool number 7, focus on gratitude. Okay, so now it's the fun part of the presentation. We're going to talk about some fictional characters here. And I like to call this the Polly and the Restless. So I talked about some TV characters you guys might be familiar with. And you guys can chime in with what tools you feel they could benefit from if you have your 7 tools written down and their situation. And then I'm going to let you know what I would advise the clients. And maybe we all agree. Maybe we have different perspectives. So chime in on the chat, or you can chime in and unmute yourself about what tool you feel like will help these couples. So first couple we have is Derwin and Melanie. They're a young African-American married couple. Derwin is a football player. Melanie is in med school. They decided to open their relationship to find people who have the same interests that they do not share together. Derwin has a new partner. She loves to go to the sports bar. She loves to have Sunday fun day. Unlike Melanie, she doesn't like brunch. She loves football and nachos and beer. So how can Melanie overcome any type of jealousy due to how enthusiastic Derwin is about getting ready to meet his new partner? They might have matching jerseys. How can she overcome this new relationship energy? Elizabeth says,
I would like to think that I would be really supportive of my partner being able to see them experiencing that joy in a way that I didn't want to do. But in practice, I can see myself feeling a little left out, that they're having all of this joy and then I'm not a part of it, and then I'll never be a part of it because I'm just never going to be into sports, right? So I think the answer is, in my space, to maybe lean into more activities that I also enjoy, so that I don't feel like because in reality, there's nothing that I'm missing out on, right? I didn't want to do those things in the first place.
Yeah. That's right. And I think someone touched on this in the group chat earlier. You can never be anyone's everything. I know we watch Lifetime and movies. You're my everything. You're my best friend. You're my missing piece. Not really, because as human beings, we're complex individuals. There's so many different layers to us. No one's going to hit every single note to our interest. So that's very mature to say, yeah, I didn't want to do that anyway. Good for you guys. Go team. I'm good on that. You guys can have your Sunday. I'll rather go to brunch. That's fine. I'll see you when you get home. I think Tori said, Natalie, how is it appropriate to make the new partner not feel like they're getting less while making the primary feel the most? With this, I learned there's different type of polyamorous relationships. And when you guys first get into it and establish what is the goal, what is the motive behind me getting an additional partner, what is their role, and where is our primary relationship in that, you kind of set set and establish those parameters way before then. If you get a new partner, they know you're just here for my kink. I like this type of sex. You're only in this relationship just to fulfill that need. I don't want any romantic relationship. We're agreed upon that it is what it is. You can have a polyamorous relationship where you have multiple primaries, and it might be one is the person that you live with. The other one, you guys have a business relationship and a romantic relationship. One, it could just be finances. You guys kind of set those standards in getting into that relationship way before. So it won't be any type of miscommunication or feel like someone's stepping out of the boundaries that we set. Is that would you?
Yo, that's an excellent answer. And I think that there's a second half of that too, is we may not know exactly what we need or how much we need until we're in it. Like, you know, and so that's good. So I think you're gonna have to be open to say, hey, I thought I was gonna be okay with this, but I'm not okay with this. Can we do this instead? Or hey, you know, I'm finding that I'm really good with this. And actually, I don't need you to come home at Saturday at all. And so just kind of being open to changing. And also know, like, now we have a third person or a fourth person in this. And so we've got to be cognizant of their emotions and feelings too, like that we're balancing it, just balancing out a lot. And I think you also have to know we're going to make mistakes. Like we're going to make mistakes with that.
And I think a lot of people think, I hear this even with traditional couples, they say, well, this is how we always done it. And if something happens, this is not what we do. This is not us. I tell my clients all the time, it's just like having a car and getting an oil change, and it's the maintenance. You guys have to check in and see what the maintenance is. Like we used to do this 2 years ago or 2 months ago, but we're not doing this now. Like, and it's okay if you guys want to revamp the poly agreement. There's no rule to where the case closed. You can't reopen the poly parameters until 6 months later. You can change it as many times as you want to, because that's your relationship.
And I think you're going to have to change it. Like I think you say,
not in your head, you got to communicate that it's changed.
Right. Experience is a great teacher. And so you have to know we're going to make mistakes. We're going to maybe cross some boundaries and hurt each other's feelings, but we're in this together. We're trying to do this. This is what we want to incorporate. This is what we want to strive for. Okay, let's do this time and this way with that. But I think I would want anybody who's moving into this, like, we got to be open to, like, we're going to be changing and changing and changing again until we find the right model that works for us. And the right model that works for you now may be different in 5 years. Like, usually what is the biggest impact and changer is when a couple now decides to have children. So if we were both like living this fabulous open relationship, poly life, and now somebody is ready to have children, or both of us are ready to have children, that's probably going to affect it. And we usually have a lot of couples come into counseling then, because, like, how do we balance children and all of these relationships? And sometimes you have to make some hard choices with that, because if you spent the night out, let's say 3 out of the 7 nights of the week, and that leaves me being up with the baby like the majority of the time, like we may have to make some adjustments. So maybe now we allow partners to be in our home so that we are able to equally share baby feedings, or what that looks like, because usually people still have careers and like family things, and so we got to be open to it changing throughout the lifespan. What I need in my 20s is usually completely different from what I need in my 40s, which is going to be terribly different from what I need in my 60s, which is going to be the exact opposite from what I needed in my 80s. So, okay, moving on.
Okay, let's take this couple, hypothetically speaking. We have Martin and Gina, and we have Tommy and Pam. Early 30s, African-American couple. Martin and Gina are married. Tom and Pam are dating. They're in a partnered, non-monogamous relationship. If you guys don't know what that is, two couples who are monogamous with each other, but they go out and then spend time with another couple, and they might have sex in the same room. not with each other, but they might have sex. They might have sex in the same room. So let's say, for instance, these two couples, they go on double dates, they have sex with their spouse in the same room. But ever since Martin wanted to change it up a little bit and switch partners, Martin notices that when they go out, Gina and Tommy are talking a little bit more. He's becoming more sexually attracted to Tommy because these two are more emotionally connected. They share like similar educational backgrounds. And Martin voices, Gina, I'm not liking this. Y'all gonna have to stop seeing each other. We can cut the whole double date, double sex party. We can cut that right now because this is not what we're doing. That's not what we signed up for. What are some tools, or what is a tool that we talked about that can kind of help these couples or help Martin overcome the jealousy he feels between Tommy and Gina, or Tommy more so?
Y'all can answer in the chat any of the tools. And Jessica, switch back to the tools real quick because I didn't write them down and I don't remember them. They were excellent tools.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what do y'all think? Which tool would help Martin the most in this?
I would
My
think
gut
maybe
says they should. Sorry, go
number
ahead.
6, sorry, maybe number 6, setting healthy boundaries
Okay.
between between Gina and Tommy, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And then I think Elizabeth, you were going to say something as well. I think that was Elizabeth. I'm not sure.
I think it was Tori or Elizabeth. I don't know.
My gut says that I would pull back and we need to talk about this more, because if
Yeah.
this was his idea and now that we're implementing it, there's some
Mhm.
feelings popping up, then there's something that we obviously haven't addressed that's deeper, and
Yeah.
we should not be having sex with anyone until we figure that out.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. All right. All right. Anybody else want to add? What tool would be helpful with this? I think reflecting on your own emotions with that, having Martin really figure out, okay, what's going on, what's with me, why am I feeling this way with that? And then I think making sure we're being realistic about human nature and desire. Okay, excellent. All right, next point, Jessica.
Let's see. Let me go back to the other one. So we covered them. Let's go to Smith, Samantha, and Maria. And they're in a monopoly. Monopoly is if you and your partner initially in a monogamous relationship, and one partner wants to be poly, the other partner is like, you can go ahead and do that. I'm happy with you. That's like a monogamous and poly relationship. So Smith and Samantha, hypothetically speaking, is in a monopoly relationship. They're together in the monogamous aspect, but Samantha is dating Smith and Maria. Now, their friends aren't too fond of their polyamorous relationship. And even more so, Smith's friends are giving him flack about, okay, you guys are poly. And she feel like she needs to get what she wants from a woman. Like, is she not happy with the man? Or is she telling you you're not man enough? And these comments from his friends are really getting to Smith, to the point he's asking Samantha, like, am I not enough for you? Are men not enough for you? I was cool with the poly. I thought you were going to date other men, but now I feel like you're dating another woman. That's attacking my manhood.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things you feel like Smith needs to kind of sit with himself about? Look at these tools to see which will be effective in this situation.
I'm gonna say self-reflection, and then you guys definitely put things in the chat as well. Reflection, probably the autonomy, and probably the reframe of the brain with it has nothing to do with my manhood or I'm not enough or which is really what we're gonna say on the street is she don't like dick. With that. I mean, come on, let's be real how we really come out, with that. And so reframing it as like something like people are dynamic and we can like different things and we can like different experiences. And so me wanting to have a different experience doesn't mean that I don't like you. So if today I want to have Rocky Road ice cream, that does not mean that I don't like Oreo. That does not mean that at all. That means today I felt like having Rocky Road, and human beings are dynamic. So that might be a nice reframe of the brain with that, of just we're human beings and we're dynamic. All right, anybody else want to put anything in the chat as to what tool you think would be helpful with Smith in this scenario? Okay. I think like that's the story that definitely happens. I think the story I hear the most is I won't say I hear the most. Actually, I hadn't even heard it in a while. But I think for a lot of guys, they don't sit and think before we open a relationship, like, how am I gonna feel if like really sit down and I'm gonna talk about just men in general, really sit down and think, okay, how am I going to feel if my partner has a better sexual experience with somebody? How am I going to feel if really she come up with a dude who really does have a bigger dick than I do? How am I going to feel? Because I've even heard guys throughout the years say something like, but I feel like, and I'm going to be graphic here, but I want to be real with you guys. And so like I've heard various men say, her pussy don't feel right to me anymore. Like, I don't like the fact that somebody else was in my pussy. Like, it feels like it got stretched out. So, or something like that. Like, no, I'm like, I'm being real, and so as a guy, before you guys decide to open up, like, you really got to sit down and say, am I gonna be okay with a bigger dick being available? Am I gonna be okay if I hear her make sex noises with another partner that she's never made with me? Am I gonna be okay with if I hear her laugh with him that she's never done a laugh with me? And I really want men to think about that, because I don't think a lot of times they realize how their reaction's gonna be. Like, we all want to think that we are these people of like great character and morals, and understand what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And yes, we can, until you get in that situation. And then you like, wait, what? Wait a minute. Yeah. So does that mean, like, with that? And so these are very, very real things with that. So, okay.
And I think a lot of times when people get into a polyamorous relationship, some people get into for the wrong reasons. They think it's like this new trend, this new little thing that's fun and exciting, but they don't look at the possibilities. It's a possibility that this will work. It's a possibility that my partner will enjoy the partner that they bring in. Some people go into it with this misconception or this MO that, okay, I'm agreeing to it, but I feel like once you get in it, you're gonna know this is where you need to be. And then when you get egg on your face to where they really do enjoy the partner, now it's all these arguments and acting like they're cheating on you, but this is an agreed upon partner, agreed upon terms. You just went into it thinking I told you so, and it didn't work out that way. So you got to go into it wholeheartedly, knowing and being open. And I think we talked about in our last video about compersion. Compersion, when you take the joy of seeing your partner have happiness and pleasure with someone else. If you cannot settle in compersion and take on that tool or take on that skill, poly, jealousy, anything's going to be very hard for you.
Yeah, definitely so. So we want you guys doing the work. A lot of these relationships work very, very well. For the link for the previous video, Tori, is on the meetup. Look at this meetup group and go back and look at previous events, or maybe I think I did a message to the whole group, so it might be on the message board. So which, and I'll try to find it in just a minute, and so maybe I can point you to it specifically. What was I saying? Poly, open, some of them work well, but you got to do the work. So I literally have clients on my caseloads who have been married and poly, are doing open relationships for 10 years, 20 years. and they're still in my office talking about things, because it's something you kind of have to commit to continuing to work on. Like it's kind of like, we know this is going to be hard, and we've got to be open to working on it with that. Yes, Jazz, actually, it evolves. It evolves. And what worked for us yesterday may not work for us today. What we need to do in the future may be completely different for where I am now. It evolves with as our jobs change, as our kids change, as our family dynamics change, what we need as we as people change. It evolves. So I need you to know that when you sign up for a multi-partnered relationship, you signing up for work. Like, you're signing up to do the work, and really it's doing the work of knowing yourself and mastering yourself with that. So, okay. I hope you enjoyed our content today. We are here at Atlanta Sex Therapy to serve. If you did like our content, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Also, click the little bell so you can get notifications when we put new videos out. People don't know what sex therapists do, and we're trying to get the information out there and spread the word. So I'm going to ask you to send this to 3 people, because you never know who may be in need of more good information about sex. Thank you, and just have a wonderful day in life.